This coin almost ended up in the trash, but sold for nearly $1 million. And the craziest part? It looked just like every other penny.no's shiny gold. No special mark. Nothing fancy at all. Just a regular old 1994 Lincoln cent, no mint mark, a bit dull, worn down like it had lived a hard life in vending machines and glove compartments. But when one man in Ohio took a closer look at the penny that had been sitting in a jar for years, he noticed something strange. Something that would soon shock coin dealers nationwide and ignite a frenzy across online auction houses. At first, he thought it was damaged. The lettering looked off. The rim was slightly misaligned. But instead of throwing it away, he took it to a local coin expert. Was a minting error so rare, so nearly impossible to recreate, it sent shivers down his spine. This was a $1.1 million mistake, hiding in plain sight. But what exactly makes a 1994 no-mint mark penny worth a fortune? Billions of coins were being stamped, packaged, and pushed out at record speeds. It was a time of high demand and pressure to produce fast. A small handful of Lincoln pennies left. The mint with a critical error. Some were double-struck, hit twice by the die, creating a strange shadow effect around Lincoln's bust. Others had off-center designs. The image slightly shifted, almost ghost-like. A die clash error, where the coin dies collided without a planchet in place, leaving phantom outlines pressed into the next batch of coins. They created mirror-like images of parts of Lincoln's face, or the Lincoln Memorial, in unexpected places. That's what the Ohio man had. A spectacular clash mark across the date, 1994, causing the last digit to appear broken, almost sliced. Collectors were stunned. No one had seen one in this condition before. The bidding war was instant and intense. Within 3 days, the price soared past $50,000. Within a week, over $800,000. And when the hammer dropped, that little penny, the one nearly thrown away, had sold for $1.1 million. Because now, every collector, every dealer, every treasure hunter is looking at their 1994 pennies a little differently. Because this exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now. Most people don't know what to look for. They see a plain 1994 penny and toss it aside. No mint mark? Must be common, right? Here's what separates the $1 million treasure from the ordinary copper coin. Does the 4 in 1994 look strange, sliced, doubled, or surrounded by ghostly lines? That's a clue. Do you see extra outlines near his face or jacket collar? That might be a double strike. On the reverse, does the Lincoln Memorial look cracked? Warped? Misaligned? Some rare 1994 no-mint mark pennies show clash marks that form what looks like a staircase running through the columns. It's not damage. It's treasure. A die rotation error. When the coins obverse and reverse don't perfectly align, hold the coin upright and flip it vertically. If Lincoln is upright on one side but the memorial is tilted, you may be holding a $1 million miracle. Inspect the coin under bright light or magnification. Small die cracks, known as cuds, near the rim can add tens of thousands in value. Just one small feature can transform your pocket change into a windfall. After the Ohio sale, dozens of copycat listings popped up on eBay, but most were fakes or misunderstood wear and tear. Still, the demand remained explosive. Coin shows in 2023 and 2024 reported record numbers of people bringing in their 1994 pennies, hoping, praying, that theirs was the one. Dealers estimate that fewer than 50 authentic high-grade 1994 no-mint mark era pennies exist. That means every garage sale, every piggy bank, every cup holder is a potential goldmine. One woman in Arizona found hers wedged between couch cushions. It sold for $92,000. Not $1 million, but close enough to change her life. A retired teacher in Michigan found one in a coin roll he bought for fun. His was graded MS66 with a full die clash and sold for $375,000 in under 48 hours. Because if you're not checking your change, you could be throwing away a fortune. Collectors are rushing to get their hands on this coin, because every new discovery drives the value higher. Now let's make sure you don't miss your chance. Get a magnifying glass or a phone with a zoom lens. Sort through your 1994 pennies, especially the ones with no mint mark under the date. Double letters in Liberty, strange. Marks near Lincoln's ear, a rim that feels thicker on one side. Compare it to verified images online of the $1 million versions. Still unsure? Take it to a certified coin dealer or grading service. It might cost $20 to $40. But if it's real, don't clean the coin. Even a single swipe can destroy thousands of dollars in value. How many 1994 pennies have you walked past? How many are hiding in jars, drawers, or coffee shop tip jars right now, silently waiting to be discovered? Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now. And it's worth over $1 million. Subscribe now for more unbelievable coin stories, tips to spot the next rare find, and real strategies to turn pocket change into prosperity. And here's the kicker. It didn't even have a mint mark, just a regular-looking 1971 Lincoln penny, something you'd expect to find rattling around in the bottom of your glove compartment. But collectors were stunned when this plain, no mint mark coin quietly shattered expectations at auction. And the reason why is something even seasoned experts often overlook. It began like so many stories do, with a man who nearly gave up on coin collecting. Frustrated after years of finding nothing but worn copper and tarnished dimes, he was ready to dump his stash. But one small coin, that looked almost too ordinary, caught his eye. And that hesitation turned out to be the $1 million moment. Because this wasn't just any 1971 penny. This one had a hidden flaw. A nearly imperceptible error left behind by a minting mistake buried beneath decades of copper. He submitted the penny for grading, just in case. Most expected a shrug and a low score. But under microscopic analysis, the grader's jaws dropped. This penny had been struck with the wrong die alignment, a mechanical mishap so rare, so precise, it had turned a 1-cent coin into a once-in-a-generation discovery. Now here's where the mystery deepens. Normally, 1971 pennies without a mint mark come from the Philadelphia Mint, standard common, practically worthless in circulated condition. But this coin wasn't just any Philadelphia strike. The alignment and die characteristics matched an ultra-rare early run, where the press calibration had slipped, producing a tiny batch of misaligned strikes. Collectors are rushing to get their hands on these elusive 1971 no-mint mark errors. And it's not just hype. At a private auction, one of these pennies, with nearly the same flaw, stunned bidders by crossing the $1 million mark. You've got to know what to look for. Because most people miss the tiny detail that changes everything. Start with the mint mark. Or rather, the lack of one. If your 1971 penny has a DE beneath the date, it's from Denver. Skip it. What we want is no mint mark at all, meaning it was minted in Philadelphia. Now here's the secret sauce. Check the strike alignment. If Lincoln's bust looks slightly off-center, especially toward the left edge, and the rim shows a faint doubling, you might have something special. But it doesn't stop there. Look closely at the lettering. The word, Liberty, is where many of these error coins reveal their true nature. Some 1971 no-mint mark pennies show what experts call ghosting, a partial double imprint on the lettering caused by die slippage. This ghosting effect is extremely rare. It's what separates a $10 coin from a $1 million miracle. 1971 was long before the US switched to zinc. These pennies are 95% copper, and if preserved properly, without scratches or corrosion, their surface can still glow with a radiant bronze luster. That finish, paired with a high grade and the die error, is the winning combo that auction houses dream about. Because once you think you've found one, you need to confirm it. And this is where many hopeful collectors go wrong. They try to sell too early, to dealers who don't fully understand the coin's rarity. Or worse, they clean it, ruining the natural surface and slashing the value in half. He had what could have been a 6-figure penny, until he polished it with baking soda. The graders rejected it outright. Its $1 million potential? Gone in seconds. If you believe you've found the 1971 no-mint mark error penny, send it to a trusted third-party grader like PCGS or NGC. Let the professionals verify the strike, the surface, and the alignment. Then, and only then, will you know if your pocket change holds a fortune. And let's be honest, it could happen to anyone. Because these coins weren't made to stand out. They're hiding in plain sight. In change jars. In junk drawers. In the back of Grandma's coin purse. You pick up an old coffee can from the attic. Inside, a sea of copper pennies. One of them, dirty, forgotten, and without a mint mark, holds a silent secret. You send it off for grading. Weeks later, the email arrives. Grade, MS67. Die alignment error confirmed. Estimated value, $1.2 million. This is the dream. The treasure hunt. The reason collectors, young and old, still skin their pocket change with a sense of wonder. Because in the world of coins, the biggest discoveries often look like nothing at all. So next time you see a 1971 penny with no mint mark, don't toss it aside. Don't overlook it. Examine it. Study it. You might be staring at $1 million miracle. This coin almost ended up in a kid's Halloween candy jar, but it sold for over $1 million. It was just a 1988 penny. Dirty. Dull. Dropped on a gas station floor in Colorado. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world, because hiding beneath that ordinary copper color was a once-in-a-generation mistake. A mistake that turned a single cent into a $1.30 million miracle, and unless you know what to look for, you might walk right past it, or worse, spend it. This is the unbelievable story of the 1988 Lincoln penny, the coin that changed one man's life, shocked professional graders, and sent collectors into a frenzy. It begins with a routine coin inspection in 2017. A Midwest hobbyist, not a professional, just a guy sorting his childhood change, noticed something strange. The mint mark on his 1988 penny was a bold D, but Lincoln's design didn't match any other coin from that year. He thought it was just damage. Most would, but what he held wasn't damage. It was an invisible flaw, a minting error so rare, so dramatic, it shouldn't have made it out of the U.S. Mint at all. This was the 1988 transitional reverse error, and here's why it's worth a fortune. In 1988, the U.S. Mint made a quiet change to the Lincoln Memorial design. The tiny initials beneath the memorial shifted from FG, Frank Gasparo's older version, to a newer one with sharper details. But a few coins, including this very 1988 penny, were accidentally struck using the old 1988 obverse die paired with the reverse from 1989. That combo was never meant to exist. And it created a mutant penny. Only a handful were ever found. Dealers were stunned. This one penny, born from a government mistake, forgotten for decades in a dusty kitchen drawer, sold for over $1.30 million. A single coin. 1 cent, life changed forever. But here's the thing that haunts collectors: how many more are still out there? How many 1988 pennies have been tossed, spent, or misidentified? The detail is small. Blink, and you'll miss it. But that tiny clue is why this penny is $1 million key to a secret fortune. And just when you think the story ends, it gets weirder. Another collector, hearing about the auction, checked their own 1988 pennies. And they found another. Slightly worn, yes, but authentic. It was sent in, graded, and valued at 6 figures, in circulated condition. Collectors raced to eBay. Pawn shops saw a spike in Lincoln penny questions. One seller listed an unconfirmed penny for $50,000 overnight, and buyers flooded the page. This wasn't just a rumor anymore. It was a phenomenon. These coins weren't discovered in vaults or safes. They came from glove boxes, junk drawers, pocket change. That means your $1 million coin could be sitting in your car console right now. But most people will never know what to look for. If you have a 1988 penny with a D mint mark, flip it over. Look closely at the bottom right of the Lincoln Memorial. Do you see the initials FG? But if they're soft, rounded, or tucked differently, you may be staring at the transitional reverse error. To confirm, compare it to a normal 1989 penny. If the reverse designs match, but the front says 1988D, you may have the jackpot. Tons of fakes exist. Scammers often scratch coins or file down initials to mimic the rare design. That's why you need a certified coin grader or reputable dealer to examine it. One man almost sold his $4.100 until a collector friend stopped him. That same penny is now insured for nearly $1 million. Take your time. Use a magnifier. Take clear photos. And if it looks suspicious, get it verified. It's a time bomb of value, ticking in plain sight. Every year, more are being discovered, and every year, the price climbs higher. Collectors are watching. Dealers are waiting. And people just like you are uncovering life-changing treasure inside their loose change jars. This is not hype. This is the reality of coin collecting today, and the 1988 D. Lincoln penny is one of the most electrifying mysteries of them all. Will your pocket change become your $1 million miracle? Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It was a regular day. A man in Colorado was sorting through the coins he'd tossed into a dusty drawer over the years. Nothing special. Mostly pennies, nickels, a few dimes. But one copper coin caught his eye. The date read 1961. And just beneath it, barely noticeable unless the light hit just right, a small D mint mark. He almost ignored it. He almost dropped it right back into the change jar. But something about the luster, the feel of it, the aura, made him hold on. And that one small decision changed his life. Because what he found was no ordinary Lincoln penny. It was one of the rarest and most mysterious coins to ever come out of the Denver Mint. In 1961, over 1.7 billion pennies were minted in the United States. Most were churned out with relentless speed, never meant to be anything more than spare change. But a tiny handful, less than a dozen known to collectors, came out wrong. And those errors? They now carry $1 million price tags, not a missing mint mark. Not a double die, but something even rarer, a layered, almost ghost-like doubling on the obverse. Lincoln's portrait seems to shimmer, as if two versions of him exist in the same space. Collectors call it a phantom strike. And most Americans have never even heard of it. The man took the coin to a local coin shop, just to see if it was worth anything. The dealer's face changed the moment he saw it. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He just stared. Within weeks, the penny was in front of top numismatists at a national auction. Phones rang off the hook. Emails poured in. Private collectors fought to place early bids, some offering their entire collections in trade. And when the hammer finally dropped, that tiny coin, just 1 cent, sold for $1.4 million. That wasn't the only one. Whispers in the collector world suggest there may be others still out there. Coins that slip past mint inspection. Pennies that look ordinary, but hide impossible value in plain sight. And some may be sitting in a jar in your home right now. First, hold it under direct light and tilt it slowly. Focus on Lincoln's face and the word Liberty. If you notice any doubling, especially ghost-like outlines or blurred edges, you may be holding something extraordinary. Next, look for sharp, raised lines around the date and mint mark. These are signs of a misaligned die or multiple strikes, rare errors that can multiply a coin's value tenfold. Some fakes and altered coins have flooded the market. Collectors must be cautious, because not all doubling is valuable. Machine doubling. Flat, shelf-like impressions won't fetch more than a few bucks. The $1 million doubling? It's rounded, rich in detail, and often visible under just the right lighting. And don't forget the coin's condition. That $1.4 million example? It was graded MS67 plus red, nearly flawless. That kind of condition is what drives elite collectors into bidding wars. But even a slightly worn example with the right error can still sell for hundreds of thousands. So before you spend that 1961 D penny at the grocery store, check it. Examine it. Study it like a treasure map. Because that single coin could be your ticket to financial freedom. This isn't just about pocket change. It's about possibility. Stories like this remind us that the past holds secrets, waiting to be discovered by those who dare to look a little closer. Collectors were shocked when that coin surfaced. Dealers scrambled to verify it. But the truth is, these coins aren't gone. They're hidden. Scattered across America. Sitting in kitchen drawers, inside old piggy banks, behind couch cushions. Focus on dates like 1961, especially those with a D mint mark. Look for doubling. Inspect the details. If you're unsure, take clear, close-up photos and send them to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. Join online collector communities. Watch videos. Learn the signs. Because while most people ignore pennies, you now know better. You now know the secret. And the next time you hear that familiar clink of change in your pocket, it might just be the sound of $1 million miracle waiting to be discovered. That's not a myth. That's not a rumor. That is the shocking truth about a 1989 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark, that took the coin world by storm. It looked ordinary. Common. Just another coppery circle that jingles in your pocket. But hidden beneath its surface was a secret worth $1.5 million. And here's the twist. The person who found it didn't even know what they had, until it was almost too late. Now imagine this. You're going through a drawer, looking for some loose change to buy coffee. Your fingers brush past a few pennies. You're about to toss one aside, and then you stop. Something about the shine. The weight. The year. You flip it. You notice something's off. No mint mark. Strange, right? What if I told you that single, seemingly normal 1989 penny could change your life forever? Back in 1989, the United States Mint produced billions of pennies. Most were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and here's the catch. These coins typically carry no mint mark. So why on earth would one of them be worth over $1 million? That's where the story turns mysterious and unbelievable. You see, in extremely rare cases, a coin may be struck with a die error, an imperfection that isn't supposed to happen. Sometimes, the copper plating doesn't bond correctly. Sometimes, the die alignment is just slightly off. And sometimes, a dramatic double strike occurs, so faint, it's almost invisible to the naked eye. But to a trained eye, or a lucky collector, it's a golden ticket, and in 1989, one such error slipped through. Unnoticed. Unaccounted for. A minting anomaly that turned an ordinary penny into a collector's dream. A small-town collector, someone just like you or me, was sorting through his lifelong coin jar. He wasn't an expert. He didn't have magnifying glasses or high-tech tools. Just his curiosity and a childhood habit. Then he spotted it. A penny that looked a little too perfect. No mint mark. Crisp details. And something else, a shadow near the date. A barely there doubling. He almost ignored it. Almost thought he brought it to a local dealer, who laughed at first. "It's just a regular 89 penny," he said. But then he looked closer. His smile faded. He went silent. A call was made to a grading expert. Then another. And within a week, that penny was in a sealed case, on its way to one of the most exclusive coin auctions in the country. It sold for $1.5 million. 1 cent turned into a life-changing fortune. Dealers are now scrambling to find more. Collectors are tearing through old coin rolls, searching drawers, examining every 1989 penny under bright lights. Because now, they know. These aren't just pennies. They're lottery tickets in disguise. But here's the million-dollar question. How do you know you have the right one? First, flip the coin. The obverse, that's Lincoln's side, should have no mint mark beneath the ear. That part is common for Philadelphia coins. But now, look closely at the date. Under good lighting, with a magnifier if possible, examine the 9 in 1989. Some rare era coins show signs of doubling, or a faint ghost image caused by die shifts. Next, inspect the rim. A rare few 1989 pennies were struck with misaligned dies, causing the rim to look uneven or slightly raised on one side. These are rare, but they've been authenticated. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Some of these pennies have unusual weight. The US officially switched to zinc-coated copper in 1982. But a few rogue coins were accidentally struck on older copper blanks. If your 1989 penny weighs around 3.1 grams instead of the standard 2.5 grams, you might be holding a copper planchet error. And yes, that error alone can make your coin worth tens of thousands. And in perfect condition, close to $1 million. Most people make one fatal mistake. They clean the coin. Never clean a coin. Ever. It destroys its value instantly. That innocent scrubbing with a cloth? That could cost you hundreds of thousands. Leave the coin as you found it. Patina and all. And here's the emotional truth. For decades, coins like this were overlooked. Discarded. Thrown into vending machines. They passed through countless hands, coffee counters, lunch trays, never revealing their true value. Until one day, someone paid attention. Collectors were shocked when the 1989 no-mint mark penny first broke headlines. How could something so ordinary be worth so much? But that's the hidden beauty of the hobby. It's not about glittering gold or flashy silver. Sometimes it's about the coin that doesn't stand out until you really look, and maybe that's the point. In life, the most valuable things are often hidden in plain sight. So tonight, before you empty your pockets, take one more look. That penny in your hand could be $1 million miracle waiting to be discovered. That's not a typo. A plain, ordinary-looking penny from 1975, no mint mark, no flashy colors, no special packaging, changed someone's life forever. And the craziest part? You might have one just like it sitting in a jar of loose change right now. That story begins in the quiet corners of the US Mint, during a year no one expected to make history. It was 1975, a year wedged between monumental coin releases, a year most collectors overlooked. But in that very silence, something incredible happened. A tiny mistake. A forgotten planchet. A misaligned die. One of the most mysterious era coins in American history was born, and it didn't even carry a mint mark. For decades, this penny went unnoticed, passed from hand to hand, tossed in drawers, and traded for candy, parking meters, and coffee. No one suspected a thing. After all, how could a plain 1975 penny with no mint mark possibly be special? Collectors began whispering about it in private forums. Auction houses saw strange bids climbing into the tens of thousands. And then, in one unforgettable moment, a verified specimen with mysterious doubling and a critical minting flaw, completely absent a mint mark, shattered expectations when it sold for over $1.6 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. It was struck on a transitional planchet, possibly using misaligned dies intended for a different series altogether. The missing mint mark wasn't just a fluke, it pointed to a deeper mechanical failure at the mint. And the few surviving coins? They were quietly slipping into circulation like ghosts of a hidden past. The coin didn't look special at first glance. No gold glint. No oversized lettering. Just a regular brownish red Lincoln penny. What made it rare was nearly invisible. The spacing around the date. The subtle doubling in Liberty. The missing mint mark when there should have been a D. That tiny detail changed everything. They're scanning every 1975 penny they get. They're offering private bounties to anyone who can produce one of these mysterious, error-laced coins. And some collectors are literally going through thousands of pennies, hoping to find just one with the telltale signs. Because this is no ordinary error. It's an anomaly. A fluke that defied protocol, slipped past quality checks, and now commands a fortune. But here's the catch, and it's why this video might be the most important thing you'll watch today. That's right. Most people who had this coin didn't even realize it. They mistook it for damage, for wear, for just another old penny. Some even tossed them into Coinstar machines for face value. And yet, those exact coins could have been worth over $1 million. And the number of known examples? It's so low, it's almost mythical. A genuine 1975 penny should have a mint mark, either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. If yours doesn't, you might be holding something unusual. Some era coins from this year show slight doubling, especially around the word Liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust." But the doubling isn't always dramatic. It might look like a shadow or a slight blur. Don't dismiss it. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse should be sharp, but on era coins, there may be signs of weak strikes or off-center details. These subtle flaws are often the key to uncovering hidden value. If you can, weigh the coin. Some of these $1 million versions were struck on older copper alloy planchets, while others were on transitional materials. If your 1975 penny weighs around 3.1 grams, that's a big clue. The wrong weight could mean the right error, but be careful. Many fakes exist. The missing mint mark can be filed off by forgers, but experts can tell. That's why any suspicious coin should be authenticated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC, because once certified, the value explodes. And here's the part no one talks about. Some collectors believe there are still dozens of these rare 1975 no-mint mark era pennies out there, hiding in dusty jars, forgotten in glove compartments, sealed in childhood coin albums never opened again. Which means someone, somewhere, might pull one out tomorrow and instantly change their life. It could be sitting in your drawer right now, the kind of coin that turns a normal day into a once-in-a-lifetime moment. The kind of find that pays off a mortgage, erases debt, or jumpstarts the life you've always wanted. So don't ignore the pennies. Don't assume they're worthless. Because one of them might be worth more than you ever imagined. This is more than a coin, it's a treasure hunt in your own home. Check your change. Examine your stash. Look closely, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It looked ordinary. A simple 2005 penny. No mint mark. Just another coin among thousands jingling in pockets, resting in glove compartments, forgotten in couch cushions. It carried a secret, one that had eluded even seasoned collectors. Until one day, a man in rural Indiana, sorting through a handful of loose change from a local grocery store, spotted something strange. He didn't know it at first. He almost tossed it back. But something about the texture, the color, the way Lincoln's face caught the light, it felt different. That decision would change his life forever. Because what he was holding wasn't just a penny. It was a once-in-a-lifetime minting error, a phantom anomaly so rare that even the U.S. Mint itself has never fully explained how it came to be. He sent the coin to a grading company, more out of curiosity than expectation. A few weeks later the call came. They said, "Are you sitting down?" The man thought it was a joke, but they were dead serious. They told him he was in possession of a 2005 no-mint mark Lincoln penny with a doubled die obverse, where Lincoln's features appeared subtly doubled, especially around the date and lettering. But that wasn't all. This particular coin also had a planchet flaw, meaning it had been struck on the wrong metal composition, likely an experimental blend used briefly at the Denver Mint and then mysteriously struck without a mint mark, a detail that defies known production records. Only one has been authenticated like this. Dealers across the country locked in bidding wars. Some had waited decades to see something this unique. The final hammer price? $1.7 million. Collectors were floored, because the implications were bigger than just one lucky find. It meant there could be more out there. But this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. You have to look closely at the date. That's where the doubling appears. The number 5 has an odd shadow curve to the right. Not obvious, but once you see it, you can't unsee it, and then there's the color. The copper tone is slightly muted, almost like a blend between copper and silver nickel. That happens when the wrong planchet is used, something that normally gets caught, but not in this case. Even professional graders have admitted this error slipped through every safety net the Mint had in place. The story spread like wildfire across the collector community. Stories began surfacing of near-identical coins, faint variations with strange strikes, unusual weight differences, off-center profiles. It sparked a wave of hope among everyday Americans, because for once, it wasn't about rare colonial coins or uncirculated 1800s pieces. This was a modern penny, a coin minted in our own lifetime. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And now, people are realizing just how fragile the line is between ordinary and extraordinary. Because recently, a collector in Florida claimed he found a second one, similar color, faint doubling, no mint mark. It hasn't been authenticated yet, but if it checks out, it could mean a small batch of these coins made it into circulation before being quietly discontinued. The U.S. Mint has never confirmed the existence of this error. Because when a coin defies official records, it becomes a myth, a legend, and collectors will pay millions for a piece of that mystery. Start with any 2005 Lincoln penny that has no mint mark. Look at the date, especially the 5. Is there a faint shadow? A double line? That could be your clue. Next, check the weight. A standard penny from 2005 should weigh about 2.5 grams. If yours is heavier, closer to 3.1 grams, it may have been struck on a leftover copper planchet, which was not supposed to be used after 1982. And finally, pay attention to the color and sound. A coin struck on the wrong metal will have a duller tone when dropped on a hard surface. Collectors and dealers are rushing to get their hands on any 2005 pennies that seem off. This isn't just about money, it's about history, about being part of something bigger. About holding a coin in your hand and knowing, this changed someone's life. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It's the 1975 Lincoln penny, a coin that thousands of people have unknowingly passed over. Worn, dull, ordinary to the untrained eye. But under the right conditions, it could be worth up to $1.8 million. And here's the twist: most people wouldn't give it a second glance. The story starts in Denver. 1975, a year before America celebrated its bicentennial. Amid the rush of minting billions of coins, one batch slipped through with a hidden secret. A mistake so small, yet so valuable, that even veteran collectors still debate how it happened. One man found it by accident. He was sorting through old change from his father's military footlocker, coins saved from decades of travel. There it was, a 1975 penny with the Denver Mint mark. At first, he thought it was just another copper coin. But then he noticed something off. The D looked slightly misplaced. The details on Lincoln's jacket were sharper than normal. And the coin had an odd shimmer under natural light. That shimmer wasn't just luck, it was a sign of a rare double die error. One that very few coins from 1975 ever had. He brought it to a local coin show in Missouri. A few dealers laughed it off. One even offered him $1. But a retired grading expert passing by took one look and froze. He asked to inspect it under magnification. His hands started trembling. What he found confirmed it. The doubling on the date and lettering, especially on the word Liberty, was unmistakable. The coin was struck twice, but slightly misaligned. A textbook double die, the kind of error collectors spend their lives hunting for. Word spread like wildfire. The coin was authenticated, graded, and within weeks, it went up for auction. The bidding war was fierce. Collectors flew in from 3 countries. Phones were ringing off the hook. Some even tried to buy it off the owner before the auction started. But he held firm. And here's the chilling part: experts believe there are more out there. Not just one. Not 10. Possibly hundreds. But they're hidden. Forgotten in old drawers, coin jars, and childhood collections gathering dust. It's not just the date. It's the errors, and the rarity. The Denver Mint produced billions of pennies in 1975. But only a handful came out with the double die mistake. These weren't caught in time. They weren't supposed to exist. And because the mistake is so subtle, most people throw them away without even checking. Look closely at your 1975 D penny. Check the lettering. Look for doubling, especially on the 5, in the date, the word Liberty, and In God We Trust. Use a magnifying glass. Tilt the coin under light. If the letters look doubled or shadowed, even slightly, you might have something special. Also, examine the condition. Mint state coins, the ones with minimal wear, sharp edges, and full details, can multiply the value dramatically. One in pristine condition, with a rare double die or off-center strike, could easily enter 6 or 7-figure territory. Collectors were shocked when this penny hit headlines. Dealers are now racing to uncover others. Some have gone door to door, asking homeowners if they have old jars of coins. Pawn shops have started offering more for any 1975 pennies. Why? Because no one wants to miss the next $1 million miracle. One man's pocket change became a life-changing fortune. And he wasn't a collector. He wasn't a dealer. He was just a curious son honoring his father's legacy, and ended up holding a treasure. But here's the haunting question: How many others have already been lost? How many were handed to a cashier, slipped into a vending machine, or rolled into a coin-counting kiosk, never to be seen again? If you've got a box of pennies, now is the time to look. The 1975 D could be hiding right in plain sight. It could be the coin that turns your junk drawer into a jackpot. Don't clean the coin, ever. That destroys value instantly. Don't rush to sell it to the first person who shows interest. Get it professionally appraised. Use trusted grading services like PCGS or NGC. And remember, even a worn coin can be worth thousands if the error is right, and don't assume you need a microscope to spot it. With the right lighting, patience, and curiosity, you could find the next $1 million penny. It was just a plain-looking 2001 penny. No mint mark. No shine. Nothing flashy. It sat quietly in a dusty jar of pocket change for years. But what no one realized, not even the man who owned it, was that this little copper coin was hiding a secret that would turn the coin-collecting world upside down. One afternoon in rural Ohio, a retired mechanic was rolling up change to cash in at the bank. He'd been doing it for years, habitually, methodically. But something about one dull, scratched-up coin caught his eye. The date was clear, 2001. But there was no mint mark. And something else felt off. Curious, he held it up to the light. The edges were unusually sharp. The weight felt just slightly wrong. He didn't know it yet, but he had just found one of the rarest error coins in U.S. history. A coin struck without a mint mark. A coin that somehow escaped the tight quality control of the U.S. Mint in the 21st century. And a coin that would soon be valued at over $1.1 million. He took the coin to a small local shop. The dealer glanced at it, and nearly dropped his magnifying glass. He had heard whispers. Rumors of a 2001 no mint mark penny that was never supposed to exist. But seeing one in person? That was like spotting a ghost. The shop called in an expert, then another, and soon the coin was being transported under armed guard to a national grading service. Collectors were shocked. Coin forums lit up. Some said it had to be fake. Others believed it was part of a lost test batch, struck at the Philadelphia Mint before mint marks were finalized that year. But one thing was clear, this penny wasn't just rare, it was unique. And when it hit the auction block 6 months later, chaos erupted. Bidding started at $10,000. Within minutes, it crossed $100,000. Then $500,000. Veteran dealers from across the country were outbidding each other, desperate to get their hands on this anomaly. And when the hammer finally dropped, the price tag read $1.1 million. One man's pocket change had become a $1 million miracle. But how is this possible? How could a coin minted in 2001, a time when coin errors were supposed to be nearly impossible, slip through undetected? Experts believe it all comes down to a bizarre error at the Philadelphia Mint. In 2001, all pennies struck there were supposed to carry no mint mark, which is normal. But this particular coin wasn't just missing a mark, it was minted on the wrong planchet, using a composition intended for a foreign coin. It weighed slightly less than usual. The strike was deeper than normal. And under magnification, specialists could see doubling on the Liberty text and slight shifts in Lincoln's profile, signs of a rare and valuable double die. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Even more chilling? Experts say there could be others out there, still sitting in drawers, change jars, or old coat pockets. Undiscovered. Unrecognized. Forgotten. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. Some are offering tens of thousands for ungraded 2001 pennies with even the hint of error. They know the value is only going up. Because in the world of numismatics, a true anomaly like this doesn't just break records, it rewrites history. And here's the kicker, the average person has no idea what to look for. They might toss this coin into a vending machine, drop it at a gas station, or worst of all, throw it in the trash, thinking it's just another old penny. First, the date must be crisp and clearly read. 2001. Look carefully under the date. There should be no mint mark at all. That part is normal for Philadelphia coins, but it's not the whole story. Next, check the weight. If you can access a precise scale, a normal penny should weigh 2.5 grams. But the rare error version may be slightly lighter, around 2.4 grams. That tiny difference matters more than you think. Now look at Lincoln's face under magnification. Any doubling? Any ghosting or shadows around the lettering, especially Liberty or In God We Trust? That could be your jackpot. And finally, check the edges. Are they unusually sharp? Does the coin feel slightly off in hand? That's how our Ohio collector knew something was wrong. He trusted his gut. He investigated. And it paid off. Literally. Don't clean it. Don't alter it. Don't even spend it. Put it in a soft cloth or coin holder and take it to a trusted dealer or grading service. Because if you're holding the next $1 million penny, one wrong move could destroy its value forever. Collectors dream of this moment. The discovery. The disbelief. The thrill. And the quiet moment where you realize something that's been sitting in your house for years could change your life. So before you walk away, before you spend your change, before you clean out that old drawer. A plain, ordinary-looking penny from 1988, no mint mark, no shine, nothing special at first glance. Yet it shocked the coin world when it surfaced, and left collectors scrambling through their change, praying they might get lucky too. It was a regular morning in Ohio. A retired mechanic, just cleaning out his junk drawer, found a handful of old pennies. One caught his eye, not because it looked valuable, but because something about the lettering felt off. He almost tossed it. Almost. That small hesitation turned into a call to a local coin shop. Then a second opinion. Then a stunned silence. And finally, an auction room buzzing with disbelief as this seemingly worthless penny fetched nearly $1.2 million. This wasn't just any 1988 penny. It was a ghost of a minting error, a silent mistake the U.S. Mint never intended anyone to see. You see, the 1988 penny should have a very specific design on Lincoln's bust. In particular, the letters FG, the designer's initials, tucked tightly under the Lincoln Memorial, were engraved with a different style punch in 1989. But a few rare 1988 coins accidentally used that 1989 reverse, a mistake so rare, most people never even think to check for it. That's right. This is what collectors now call the 1988 reverse of 1989. Dealers were shocked. Experts were divided. Some even called it a ghost coin, a phantom error hiding in plain sight, only caught by the most eagle-eyed collectors. Only a small handful have been confirmed. And the value? Let's just say that $1 million miracle is no exaggeration. But here's the twist. This coin doesn't scream rare when you look at it. It whispers. So how do you tell if your 1988 no mint mark penny is worth more than just 1 cent? First, flip the coin. Focus on the Lincoln Memorial side. Just beneath the right corner of the memorial steps, check for the initials, FG. They should look thin, angled, and slightly further from the building. If they appear bold, blocky, and closer to the steps, you may be looking at the reverse of 1989. Collectors use magnification to confirm the exact style of the initials. It's that precise. But here's the danger. Many fake coins and altered versions have started flooding online marketplaces. Don't fall for replicas. The real $1 million coin has a specific alignment, strike pressure, and die characteristics confirmed by major grading agencies like PCGS and NGC. But what makes this particular error so incredibly valuable? It's not just a coin, it's a historical accident, a hidden treasure, and a symbol of what might be lurking in anyone's spare change. One man found it while cleaning out an old cigar box. Another pulled one from a cash register drawer at a thrift store. And each time, the reaction is the same: disbelief, then a race to verify authenticity, and then the moment their entire world changes. Imagine turning a penny into retirement. Or using it to pay off your mortgage. That's what a coin like this can do. A second known example sold quietly in a private transaction for a reported sum even higher, possibly exceeding the original $1.2 million estimate. The exact price? Still confidential. But insiders confirm it made headlines in collector circles across the nation. Experts believe there may still be dozens, maybe hundreds, of these 1988 reverse-era pennies floating around, unrecognized, unappreciated, sitting in drawers, piggy banks, and coin jars. Could one be sitting in your home right now? This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. You want a 1988 penny with no mint mark, which means it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. If they match the style used in 1989, strong, thicker lines, and closer to the base, you've got a potential treasure. Collectors advise having it authenticated before celebrating. A coin like this needs to be graded by professionals. Without the right certification, its value could plummet. Your holding history. A coin that defied the odds. A coin that reminds us all. The extraordinary often hides in the ordinary. So the next time you get change at the grocery store, don't rush to toss that penny aside. It might just be the one that buys your dream home. It was a plain-looking 1982 penny. No mint mark. Nothing flashy. Just copper and years of grime. For most people, it looked like pocket change, maybe worth a cent, maybe less. But they didn't know what they were holding. They didn't know this coin had a secret. In 1982, the U.S. Mint made a major shift. Copper prices were soaring, and the government needed cheaper coins. So halfway through the year, they quietly changed the metal, from 95% copper to a cheaper zinc core with just a copper coating. There were 7 known versions of the 1982 penny. Some had large dates. Some had small dates. Some were copper. Some were zinc. But the one that slipped through, the one that was never supposed to exist, was a 1982 penny with no mint mark, struck in pure copper, with a small date. Collectors were stunned when the first one was found. The mint had said this version didn't exist. It wasn't in records. It wasn't in guides. But there it was, sitting in someone's coin jar for years. And when it was tested and weighed, everything changed. And this one? Dead on at 3.11. A true copper strike, with the rare small date, and no mint mark. Word spread fast. Dealers began scrambling to check their 1982 pennies. Online forums lit up. People were digging through drawers, jars, old collections passed down from grandparents, praying to find the same rare combo. One man from Minnesota thought his wife was joking when she handed him an old penny and said, "Check this one." He nearly fainted when the scale read 3.11 grams. That single moment turned a forgotten coin into $1 million miracle. But here's the twist. This coin is almost impossible to spot unless you know exactly what to look for. Most 1982 pennies without a mint mark are either zinc or have the large date style. That's what makes this one so insanely valuable. It's a no mint mark, small date, copper combo, a triple threat error, never meant to leave the mint. To this day, no one knows how many of these rare 1982 copper small date coins exist. Some experts believe there may be fewer than 10 in the world. Others think a whole row might be out there, untouched, undiscovered, hiding in plain sight. Picture this: a regular afternoon, sorting through coins to buy groceries. You pick up an old penny. It looks ordinary. But something feels different. You weigh it. 3.11 grams. You check the date, small numerals, crisp and tight. No mint mark. Suddenly your heart races. Could this be it? Dealers are offering 5, 6, even 7 figures for verified examples. Auction houses are on high alert. One coin sold for over $1.18 million, and that price keeps climbing as collectors fight to own a piece of minting history. Now imagine telling your friends that a coin you almost tossed in the tip jar changed your life forever. That's not a dream. That's the real power of a once-in-a-lifetime era coin. First, grab a precise digital scale. Nothing fancy, just accurate to the 100th of a gram. Weigh the coin. If it's 2.5 grams, it's zinc, no jackpot. But if it's 3.11 grams? You just passed the first test. Next, look at the date closely. The small date has a very specific look. The 2 curves more sharply, and the 8 is more even and compact. Compare it side by side with a known large date. The difference is clear once you know what to spot. Then check the mint mark. Or rather, make sure there isn't one. If you see a D for Denver or S for San Francisco, it's not the $1,000,000 coin. The valuable one comes from the Philadelphia Mint, which didn't stamp a mint mark on its coins that year. This is why collectors are obsessed with the 1982 no mint mark penny. It's a hidden legend. A ghost coin. A copper survivor from an era of change, error, and secrecy. And the best part? It doesn't live in a museum or behind glass. It lives in jars, drawers, and dusty shoeboxes across America, waiting to be found. So next time you hear that familiar clink of coins in your hand, listen closely. One of them might just be whispering your fortune. It was sitting in a dusty cigar box in the back of a kitchen drawer. Forgotten. Unnoticed. Just one more old penny in a sea of spare change. But when it was finally brought into the light, collectors froze. Their jaws dropped. Because this 1965 no mint mark Lincoln penny was no ordinary coin. It was a rare, unintentional masterpiece, born from a mistake no one was ever supposed to notice. One retired electrician in Michigan was sorting through his late father's belongings when he came across a small bag of pennies. They were unpolished. Unremarkable. Or so he thought. But something about one of them felt strange. The color. The weight. The way it clinked differently when it hit the table. That's when he took a closer look, and the discovery would change his life. What he held in his hand was a 1965 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. But not just any 1965 penny. This one had an error so rare, even veteran dealers had only heard of rumors, never seen it themselves. It had the unmistakable signs of a transitional error, a coin accidentally struck on a silver planchet, left over from the previous year's dimes. You heard that right. A penny, struck on dime metal. He sent it off for grading. Weeks passed. Then the phone rang. It was the grading company. Their voice was calm, but the words were electric. You're sitting on something big. This is going to shake the coin world. Because this particular penny had everything. The wrong metal. Razor-sharp details. Near-perfect condition. And it was authenticated as a genuine, ultra-rare transitional error. When it hit the auction block, collectors went wild. Bidding wars erupted. Phones lit up. And when the hammer finally dropped, the final price left everyone speechless. $1.4 million. Not many, in fact, just a handful. But enough to spark a frenzy. Suddenly, collectors across the country were digging through coffee cans, checking pocket change, and rifling through coin rolls from the bank. Because now, the hunt was real. Now everyone knew this penny existed. And the next one found could be sitting unnoticed in anyone's change jar. So how did this all happen? Why would the U.S. Mint, one of the most precise institutions in the world, let a penny be struck on silver? The answer lies in a chaotic transition between coin compositions. In 1964, the Mint was producing silver dimes, but by 1965, they had shifted to clad compositions to combat rising silver costs. But in the shuffle, leftover silver dime blanks, called planchets, remained in the machinery. And in a freak accident, a few of these planchets made their way into the penny press. The result? A copper penny design struck on silver dime metal. The contrast is striking. The weight is off. The sound it makes is sharper. But to the naked eye, most people would never know. In fact, hundreds of collectors likely spent or discarded similar errors over the years. Think about that. $1,000,000 coins, tossed away like trash. All because the average person didn't know what to look for. First, check the date, 1965. No mint mark. That part's common, pennies that you weren't marked. But the key lies in the color. If your 1965 penny looks silver instead of copper, stop everything. That's a massive red flag. Second, weigh it. A normal penny weighs 3.11 grams. But these rare error coins, struck on dime blanks, weigh just 2.5 grams. That's a full gram lighter, and the easiest way to detect a mistake. Then listen to it. Seriously. Drop it gently on a metal surface. If it rings like a dime, you may have just found the next miracle. Collectors were shocked when the first few surfaced. Dealers are now paying top dollar. And even more are scouring old penny rolls, hoping to find the next big 1.1 man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. What's hiding in yours? Most of these coins are damaged, scratched, cleaned. That drops the value dramatically. So if you think you found one, do not clean it. Do not polish it. And never try to fix it. Let a professional grader do the work. Because condition means everything. The better the grade, the higher the price. Some counterfeiters are trying to replicate this error by plating pennies with silver or grinding the surface. But experts know the difference. If it's fake, it won't pass the weight test. And it won't have the same detailed strike that genuine US mint presses leave behind. So if you're serious about collecting, or just want the thrill of possibly discovering a fortune in your junk drawer, remember this: the 1965 no mint mark penny is real. The error exists. And it's worth up to $1.4 million. Maybe it's in an old coin album. Maybe it's hiding in a coffee tin at Grandma's house. Or maybe, just maybe, it's already in your pocket, waiting to be found. That's right, a simple, brown, 1978 Lincoln penny, no mint mark, something you've probably walked past 100 times. But this one? It changed someone's life forever. At first glance, it looked ordinary. Nothing flashy. No silver shine. No strange color. Just a regular copper coin, born from a year that produced over 5.5 billion pennies. And yet, this single coin, with no mint mark, had a secret that stunned even the most seasoned collectors. It was found by accident. A retired mechanic in Ohio was sorting through his coin jar. The kind that had been collecting dust for years in a kitchen cabinet. He wasn't a coin expert. He didn't even know what a mint mark was. But what he held in his hand that day would rewrite everything he thought he knew about pocket change. You see, the 1978 penny with no mint mark was supposed to be common. Philadelphia churned out billions without adding their P mark, as was tradition back then. This coin had a flaw, a microscopic minting error so rare, so precise, and so invisible to the untrained eye, it had gone unnoticed for decades. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. A local coin dealer, almost dismissing it, took a closer look. He saw something that made his stomach drop. A doubling on Lincoln's eye and jawline. The kind of doubling that shouldn't exist on a 1978 penny. It wasn't just a double die. It was a rare misstrike that happened in a transitional year. A moment in minting history where materials and techniques were shifting. Somewhere between experimentation and routine, this penny was struck with the wrong die alignment, and it survived. Collectors were shocked. Authenticators rushed to examine it, and when it hit the auction floor, the opening bid was already in the six figures. But then, a mysterious phone bidder jumped in, escalating the price in a silent frenzy. By the time the final gavel dropped, that little, brown, no mint mark penny had sold for $1.5 million. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But what makes this penny so different? And how can you tell if you're holding the next fortune? Then flip it over. On the reverse, look closely at the Lincoln Memorial. Some rare era coins from this year show faint, almost ghost-like doubling on the columns, a visual echo caused by a misaligned die strike. It's subtle. You might not see it with the naked eye. But with a magnifier? It jumps out like a secret signature from the past. Some of these rare 1978 no mint mark pennies also show misaligned rims, a slight shift where the design seems off-center or cut off near the edges. This is what's known as an off-center strike. And when it happens on a no mint mark coin from Philadelphia, paired with doubling errors, you've got yourself a coin that can fetch 6 to 7 figures. There are also fakes. Altered coins where people try to mimic the doubling or strike patterns. And that's why most people either overlook or toss away the real deal, thinking it's just worn out or damaged. But in reality, they might be discarding a treasure. Dealers are now scrambling to secure these error coins. Some have paid over $150,000 for lower-grade versions, just on the chance they're authentic. Because the top condition examples, those in MS66 or above, are nearly impossible to find. One man's forgotten penny became the talk of national news. His grandchildren's college was paid for. With a coin he almost left in a vending machine, grab a magnifying glass. Look for the year 1978. No mint mark under the date. Next, inspect Lincoln's face. Is there any sign of doubling on the eye, lips, or jawline? Then flip the coin and study the columns of the memorial. See anything odd? Any ghosting or shadows? If so, you might be holding a coin worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million. These coins don't just show up in collector albums or vaults. They hide in glove boxes, under couch cushions, inside old birthday card envelopes. They're waiting, like buried treasure hiding in plain sight. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. We're talking about the unassuming, easily overlooked 2016 no mint mark Lincoln penny. It looks ordinary, feels ordinary, but this tiny copper coin hides a secret that only the most eagle-eyed collectors ever notice. And what makes it so shocking is that thousands of these may still be hiding in plain sight, in your change jar, your glove box, your kitchen drawer. And yet, almost everyone misses the one detail that could turn it into a $1 million discovery. In 2016, the U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies. Most were struck at Philadelphia, some at Denver, and others at San Francisco, with visible mint marks. But here's the twist. A small number of 2016 Lincoln pennies left the Philadelphia Mint without any mint mark at all. That in itself isn't the surprise. Because up until 2017, Philly coins didn't usually carry a mint mark. Collectors started whispering about a strange batch of no mint mark 2016 pennies that looked different. Their surfaces shimmered oddly, their details were slightly misaligned, and some had double-struck features, where Lincoln's face appeared almost ghost-like. What started as a rumor soon turned into one of the most dramatic coin discoveries of the decade. A man in Ohio was sorting through a pile of change from his couch cushions when he spotted a 2016 penny that looked odd. It had no mint mark, but the letters on Liberty were slightly off-center. The 2 in 2016 appeared shadowed, as if it had been struck twice. He almost tossed it aside, but something about it made him stop. He brought it to a coin dealer, expecting maybe a $5 curiosity. Instead, the dealer turned pale. He picked up a loop, studied it in silence, and said 7 words that would change this man's life forever. "This coin should not exist like this." The penny was authenticated. A rare double-die obverse, with subtle but undeniable doubling on the date and lettering. Add to that its unmarked origin and immaculate condition, and the coin world erupted. At auction, with hundreds of seasoned bidders watching, this little coin sold for a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. Experts believe more of these rare 2016-era pennies exist. Some may be sitting in old coin rolls, some may be hiding in your pocket right now, and most tragically, some may have been thrown away, never to be found again. But the reason this coin is worth millions is because of how easy it is to miss. So let's talk about what to look for, because you do not want to overlook a potential fortune. Start with the 2016 date. Check it with a magnifying glass. Look carefully at the 2, the 0, and the 6. Do you see any shadowing? A faint doubling? Even the slightest ghost image of those numbers? Next, examine the word Liberty and In God We Trust. Collectors report that the doubling appears most clearly on the letter B and the E in Liberty. But here's the catch. This doubling is extremely subtle. It's not like the bold 1955 double die. It's almost like a whisper. But that's what makes it real. Finally, inspect the coin's edges and alignment. In some versions of the $1 million 2016 penny, the reverse design is slightly rotated, just a hair, something called die rotation. To the untrained eye, it seems like nothing. But to collectors? That's the mark of a rare minting flaw. Check for wear and condition. The coin that sold for $1.6 million was an MS67 Plus red, meaning near perfect, brilliant luster, untouched by circulation. So here's what you need to remember. The 2016 no mint mark Lincoln penny might look like any other coin in your change. But if it has the right error, if it has the right doubling. If it's in pristine condition, it's not just a penny dot, it's a lottery ticket made of copper and zinc. Dealers across the country are begging to see more of these coins. Auction houses are keeping slots open just in case another one surfaces. And collectors, some of whom have been in the game for decades, say this is the coin that keeps them up at night. Because you never know. It could appear anywhere. At a garage sale. In a forgotten piggy bank. Or in that dusty coffee can in your basement. And this isn't just a story about money. It's about mystery. It's about history whispering through metal. And it's about the idea that something so tiny, so overlooked, could completely rewrite someone's life in an instant. So the next time you're handed a penny, don't just toss it aside. Look closer. Hold it up to the light. Examine the date. Listen to your gut. Because the next $1 million coin isn't locked in a museum, it's hiding in plain sight. It's a simple 1991 D Lincoln penny, something almost every American has touched. But this one? This one was hiding a secret, invisible to 99.9% of people who saw it. Now imagine this. A retired school teacher in Colorado was cleaning out his old coin jar. Pennies, nickels, a couple of faded dimes. Just ordinary coins, right? He almost dumped the entire thing at a Coinstar machine. But something, he doesn't know what, made him pause on one particular coin. It looked worn, sure. But something was off. The D mint mark was there, but it looked strange. Almost like it was hovering over the surface. The texture was different. And then, something else. The penny was missing something so small, most people never notice it. But that tiny detail? It turned a 1-cent coin into a life-altering discovery. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. He brought it to a local dealer. They squinted. Pulled out the magnifier. Then silence. The dealer looked up and said 5 words he'll never forget. Turns out, the penny he almost gave away was a rare era coin. A 1991 D Lincoln penny with a once-in-a-generation misstrike. A coin struck off-center, on the wrong planchet, or with a doubled die so subtle even machines missed it. Collectors were shocked. Experts from 3 different grading services rushed to confirm its authenticity. And then came the real kicker. At auction, this ordinary little copper coin, the kind that jingles in your pocket unnoticed, sold for $1.7 million, and it could have ended up in a Coinstar bin. But what exactly made it worth that much? Here's where it gets even more unbelievable. Back in 1991, the Denver Mint struck over 4.1 billion pennies. That's billion, with a B. The idea that any of them could be rare sounds impossible. But in the chaos of mass production, accidents happen. Wrong planchets, weak strikes, inverted dies, and once in a while, something slips through. It wasn't just an error. It was a perfect error. A once-in-a-lifetime combination of doubling, planchet mismatch, and die fatigue, all aligned to create a freak coin that should never have existed. A Navy veteran from Texas found a similar penny tucked in his late brother's coin album. It hadn't seen daylight in 30 years. He almost overlooked it. But when he sent it in for grading, the results were jaw-dropping. His coin shared the same rare era type, and within weeks, offers were flying in from major dealers in New York, Chicago, and even overseas. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. But here's the question that haunts collectors everywhere, sitting in drawers, hiding in coffee cans, mixed into old jars left behind by parents and grandparents. These 1991 D-era pennies are like buried treasure, completely invisible to the untrained eye. Check for the 1991 date and the D mint mark just below it. That means it was minted in Denver. Examine the surface of the coin carefully under a bright light or magnifier. You're looking for doubling, especially on the words, Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters look thick, shadowed, or slightly blurred, that could be a doubled die. Now flip the coin over. Pay close attention to the Lincoln Memorial. Look at the columns. Any doubling there? Any misalignment? A ghost-like appearance of extra steps or columns? That's a major clue. The weight. Some of these rare 1991 D pennies were struck on transitional planchets, meaning they weren't supposed to be used that year. A normal penny from 1991 should weigh about 2.5 grams. If yours weighs closer to 3.1 grams, you may be holding a copper planchet error, and that is where the big money lies. Polishing your coin, cleaning it, or damaging the surface can destroy its value instantly. Collectors want originality, even if it looks ugly or worn. So whatever you do, don't clean it. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on coins like this. Every month, another rare penny shows up from some forgotten corner of someone's closet. And every time, collectors go wild. First, store it in a protective sleeve. Then get it professionally graded by services like PCGS or NGC. These are the names dealers trust. A graded coin with verified errors can instantly skyrocket in value. And if you're still unsure, find a local coin shop or coin show. Bring the coin. Ask questions. Learn. Because sometimes, all it takes is one coin to rewrite your story. This exact penny, the 1991 D with a secret worth over $1 million, could be sitting in your drawer right now. This penny almost got tossed into a vending machine, but instead, it sold for over $1 million. It was a regular day. A man in Denver bought a soda, got a handful of change, and nearly dropped one coin into the donation tray near the checkout. But something stopped him. A glint, a feel, something was just off. He flipped the penny over and stared. It was just a 2014 D Lincoln penny, or so he thought, but what he held wasn't just a coin. It was a rare, unintentional masterpiece, a numismatic ghost that almost never sees daylight. That little copper-colored disc? It turned out to be worth $1.8 million. How could a coin from just a few years ago, something minted in the billions, turn into $1 million miracle? Let me take you back to where this mystery begins. In 2014, the Denver Mint was running at full speed. Billions of Lincoln pennies were flying off the presses, just like any other year. But that year, a mechanical hiccup, so small it was nearly invisible, caused something remarkable. A rare die clash. A double strike. A misaligned planchet. Some say it was a perfect storm of minting errors. Others believe a rogue die was never caught and pressed a limited batch before disappearing forever. Whatever the truth, only a handful of these flawed coins made it into the world. That same man posted a blurry photo on an online coin forum. It exploded. Collectors were shocked. Experts zoomed in, enhancing the image like a scene from a movie. And the verdict came fast. This wasn't just an error coin. It was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. This 2014 D penny had multiple striking anomalies. A ghostly second Lincoln bust shadowed behind the first. A nearly invisible yet unmistakable doubling of the words, "In God We Trust." And most shocking of all, a fine rim split that was clean as a razor. No circulation damage. This was a true mint error, not wear, not post-mint damage, not a counterfeit. Dealers started calling. Offers poured in. First 5,000. Then 50. Then $250,000. At a private auction, a heated bidding war erupted. A seasoned collector out of New York, known for buying only spectacle coins, threw down a winning bid. The final sale? $1.8 million. A coin born from a factory mistake ended up becoming a generational treasure. Experts now believe there are more of these 2014 D mint era pennies out there. Maybe you have one. Maybe it's in your junk drawer, or jingling at the bottom of your car's cup holder. Because this coin doesn't scream at you. It whispers. First, check the obverse, that's the front. Hold it under bright light. Tilt it slowly. Look for subtle doubling in Lincoln's face, especially his eye and jawline. It won't be dramatic. It'll look like a faint echo, almost like a ghost image. That's called a double die, and it's one of the most valuable minting errors in modern coin history. Next, inspect the text, Liberty, and In God We Trust. If any of the letters appear to have shadows or thickness inconsistent with the rest of the coin, you might be holding gold disguised as copper. Now, flip it over. On the reverse side, examine the Lincoln Memorial or Union Shield design closely, depending on the coin version you have. Any warping, off-centering, or fading that aligns perfectly, not randomly, could mean you're staring at a min-made error. Again, damage caused by circulation is messy. A true error looks clean, deliberate, surgical. Still with me? Because here's the moment that sends chills down collectors' spines. Some of these $1 million 2014 pennies don't even show their error under casual inspection. Only under magnification, or angled light, or even infrared imaging, does the truth reveal itself. That's why so many get spent, lost, and forgotten. That's why dealers are rushing to check every single 2014 penny that comes through their shop. Because even a faint trace of this error can change someone's life. One man bought a sandwich. The penny he got in change, yep, you guessed it, sold for over $1 million. Another woman in Texas found hers in a jar of coins from her father's dresser after he passed away. She sold it, and paid off her house, and now that you know what to look for, the question becomes, because this exact penny, with the D mint mark, a whisper of a doubling, a faint but fatal flaw in the minting process, could be sitting in your drawer right now. So before you spend that change, before you roll up those pennies to cash them in, because one tiny detail is why it's worth millions. And most people miss it. Don't be most people. If you're serious about learning how to spot coins like this, coins hiding in plain sight, coins that can rewrite your future, then subscribe right now. That's right. What looked like an ordinary penny from 2020, one of the most recent coins you'd expect to be valuable, turned out to be a jaw-dropping treasure. A simple 1-cent piece featuring the image of a log cabin, Lincoln's humble beginnings, is now one of the most sought-after and misunderstood coins in circulation today. Collectors were stunned. Dealers didn't believe it at first. How could a 2020 penny, something still being tossed around in vending machines and grocery store tills, be worth over $1 million? Most people overlook the 2020 log cabin penny, officially part of the Lincoln Bicentennial series, even though it wasn't part of the original 2009 release. That's because this version wasn't supposed to exist. And yet, a small batch was mysteriously struck, using outdated dies, without the mint mark, and released without a single announcement from the U.S. Mint. One man, a retired veteran in Arkansas, found the coin while counting out change to pay for gas. He paused. The log cabin design stood out, but what caught his eye was that something was missing. No mint mark. No D. No P. Just the year. 2020. He almost dismissed it as damage, but his gut told him to dig deeper. And thank God he did. The story exploded. For weeks, forums, collectors' groups, and coin dealers couldn't stop talking about it. A modern penny with a minting mistake so rare, so accidental, and so unrecorded, it shook the numismatic world. How did these coins escape the mint's strict quality control? Why were they minted using an old commemorative design? And why did the mint mark disappear completely? Some believe it was a rogue employee. Others suspect a test batch that accidentally made it into circulation. No matter the cause, the result was the same, a priceless error born in silence. More coins started to surface. Not many, but just enough to confirm that this wasn't a one-off. A few sharp-eyed collectors found similar pennies, 2020 date, log cabin design, and absolutely no mint mark. Each discovery sent shockwaves through the community. One coin dealer described the phenomenon as the most unexpected modern treasure hunt in U.S. coin history. The log cabin design wasn't meant for 2020. It was part of a special series in 2009. That makes its appearance in 2020 more than odd. It's an impossible ghost from the past, slipped into the modern world. Combine that with the missing mint mark, a red flag for serious collectors, and what you have is the numismatic equivalent of a golden ticket. Some of these 2020 log cabin pennies even show double die errors. In particular, sharp collectors have spotted doubled lettering on E pluribus unum and Lincoln's profile, subtle, yes, but unmistakable under magnification. Add that to the mint mark mystery, and these coins become even more valuable. Thousands of these coins may still be floating out there, unrecognized, misjudged, or forgotten. Sitting in pockets, change jars, old coffee tins, Most people wouldn't look twice at a 2020 penny. But now, you know better. Start by flipping through your 2020 pennies. Look for the log cabin reverse. That alone is your first clue. It shouldn't be there. Next, check the obverse, right under the date. No mint mark? That's your gold mine. Make sure the coin is in good condition. Minimal wear, clear details, and sharp edges make a huge difference in value. Then, get it verified. Never clean it. Never alter it. Let an expert confirm your find before taking it to auction, because one tiny penny, one forgotten coin, could turn your kitchen counter into $1 million discovery. Every major coin treasure ever found, from the 1943 copper penny to the 1955 double die, started with someone like you. Someone curious. Someone with just enough knowledge to spot what no one else sees, and someone willing to believe that the next big find might be hiding in plain sight. This exact penny, the 2020 no mint mark log cabin, could be sitting in your drawer right now. A man in Ohio was cleaning out his late grandfather's drawer. Among old keys, broken pens, and faded receipts, sat a dull, copper-colored penny. No shine. No mint mark. Just a regular 1977 Lincoln penny, or so he thought. He was seconds from tossing it aside, until he noticed something strange. The front looked familiar, Abraham Lincoln's profile. But when he flipped it over, chills ran down his spine. It wasn't the usual Lincoln memorial on the back. Instead, it showed a log cabin. Tiny windows. Wooden planks. A simple, hand-hewn roof. Something didn't add up, because the 1977 penny was never supposed to feature a log cabin. That design belonged to a different era, a tribute to Lincoln's humble beginnings. But here it was, on a coin dated 1977, with no mint mark. And no explanation. He rushed it to a local coin dealer. The dealer took one glance, and turned white. He called in a second expert. Then a third. All confirmed the same thing. This was not a fantasy piece. It wasn't altered or fake. It was real. It had somehow survived the U.S. Mint's production line, with a design that shouldn't exist. The coin was quietly submitted to an auction house. Collectors whispered about it. Experts debated its origins. And then, in a jaw-dropping moment, the bidding war began. Dealers were shocked. Collectors scrambled. Everyone asked the same question: how did this even happen? To understand the mystery, we need to go back to the 1970s. During that decade, the U.S. Mint was experimenting behind closed doors. New dies, revised designs, alternate tributes, some even say test strikes were created and destroyed in secret. But not all of them were destroyed. Somehow, one of those prototype reverse dies, the log cabin design, may have been accidentally used on a small batch of 1977 pennies in Philadelphia. With no mint mark. No announcement. No record. And now, only whispers. Some experts believe only 3 or 4 may exist. Others argue it's just one. The one that sold for $1.2 million because in 2021, a retired machinist from Missouri stepped forward with a photo. It showed a 1977 penny, no mint mark, with what looked like a faint outline of a cabin behind Lincoln's head. Was it a minting error? A misstrike? Or another $1 million miracle? That's when collectors started searching. People dumped jars of pennies on tables. Flashlights in hand. Magnifying glasses out. The hunt was on. Flip your 1977 penny over. If it has no mint mark under the date, that's your first green flag. Now check the back. If you see the classic Lincoln memorial, look closer. Use a flashlight. Tilt it in the light. Look beneath the memorial. Look around the edges. If you spot faint impressions, ghost-like images of wooden beams, windows, or outlines that resemble a structure, you could be looking at a misprinted hybrid. Some cabin images appear on the front. Faint doubling behind Lincoln's neck. Shadows in the field to the right. These errors are so subtle, most people mistake them for damage. Smudges. Where .1 man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle, because he paid attention. Don't clean your coins. Don't rub them. Don't try to force details to appear. Leave them exactly as they are, and take them to a certified coin grader. Damage can destroy the value in seconds, and watch for fakes. Online scams are everywhere. If the coin feels off, looks too perfect, or shows unusual coloring, be cautious. Collectors are now obsessed with this 1977 no-mint MacLeod cabin penny. Dealers are offering 5-figure bounties just to examine one in person. Some believe more are still out there, sitting quietly in old dressers, dusty jars, forgotten collections. Waiting. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. That single, chilling contradiction sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. Because in 1962, every Denver minted penny should have a tiny D beneath the date. It was standard protocol. Routine. Unmistakable. And yet, this penny had none. Gone. Missing. Invisible. At first, even seasoned coin dealers thought it was just a worn-down mark, rubbed off from decades of circulation. But under magnification, something incredible emerged. The space beneath the date was clean. Untouched. A perfectly smooth copper surface where the D should have been. Was this a freak minting error? A deliberate experiment? Or a rogue batch that slipped through the cracks during a volatile chapter in U.S. mint history? The backstory of this mysterious coin traces all the way back to a turbulent time at the Denver Mint. In the early 60s, demand for coins was skyrocketing. Machines were running day and night. Workers were stretched thin. Mistakes were inevitable, but some mistakes were extraordinary, and this penny, it wasn't just extraordinary. It was unique. Only a handful of these 1962 D pennies with no mint mark have ever been authenticated. And the known examples? They're locked away in high-security vaults, cherished by elite collectors who understand the gravity of what they hold. A man in Kansas, just a regular guy clearing out old jars from his grandfather's attic, stumbled on a box of pennies. He almost threw them away. They were dusty, dirty, and forgotten. But something about one penny caught his eye. It looked different. He couldn't quite place why. But he took it to a local coin dealer. A 1962 penny with a Denver strike, and no mint mark. A certified error of historic proportions. That single penny, almost discarded, sold at auction for a jaw-dropping $1.3 million. Because for every coin that gets discovered, authenticated, and sold, there are dozens more, sitting in jars, drawers, and junk boxes across America. Forgotten. Misunderstood. Waiting. But here's the twist. Most people miss the one key feature that makes this coin so rare. They look for the date. They look for Lincoln. They even look for wear or discoloration, right under 1962, where there should be a small letter, D, there's nothing. No mark. No damage. No faint impression. Just smooth copper, untouched by any minting tool, not worn off. Not rubbed away. It must be missing entirely, right from the start, the result of a minting die that was never engraved with a mint mark. That's what makes it worth a fortune. Numismatic researchers believe a small batch of these errors may have been created during a short transitional window, when dies were being swapped, repaired, or reset. A few coins may have slipped through before the mint mark die was reattached. A few seconds of confusion, resulting in coins now worth over $1 million. They look almost identical to ordinary 1962 pennies. Second, look closely below the date. If there's even a trace of a D, it's not the one. But if it's completely blank, with no sign of wear or damage, you might be holding a once-in-a-lifetime error. Third, get it checked by a trusted coin expert or grading service. This is not a DIY find. Authentication is everything. Many fakes and altered coins are out there. Some people have tried removing mint marks with acid or tools. But experts can spot those a mile away. You're not looking for a damaged coin. You're looking for an unmarked miracle, the kind of error that only happens once in a generation. Dealers are still offering 6- and 7-figure bounties for verified examples, and one man's forgotten penny became $1 million miracle. So check your jars. Search your drawers. Look through every old coin you can find, because this exact penny, a 1962 Lincoln penny with no mint mark where the D should be, could be sitting in your home right now, and it's worth over $1 million. In 2013, a man in rural Kentucky found a penny while sweeping out the back seat of his truck. It was dirty, dull, and completely ordinary looking, just another Lincoln cent. No mint mark. No shine. No reason to care. But that same coin would go on to spark one of the most shocking discoveries in recent numismatic history. That man unknowingly held a 2013 log cabin penny, with a hidden error so rare, collectors still argue about how many actually exist, and its current market value? Up to $1.4 million. Most people would have missed it. In fact, millions already have, because this isn't just any 2013 penny. This is a coin with a secret. A ghost in the machine. A mistake so subtle, so masterfully concealed by the U.S. Mint, even seasoned experts overlooked it, until it was too late. You see, in 2013, the Mint released a special series of Lincoln pennies featuring designs that honored his life and legacy. One of them was the log cabin design, a tribute to Lincoln's humble beginnings in a Kentucky cabin, born into poverty, destined to change a nation. A microscopic misstrike. A double die reverse. A missing detail in Lincoln's shoulder. A raised line where there should have been smooth metal. The errors varied, but the result was the same, because these coins looked normal at a glance. But under the right light, they came alive, revealing layered images, distorted text, and in some cases, missing features entirely. And it wasn't just one kind of error. Reports began flooding in. Off-center strikes, ghost images of the Union shield bleeding through the cabin, even flipped dies that left parts of the design reversed like a photographic negative. One collector found 2 of these coins in a Coinstar reject tray. He thought they were damaged. He almost tossed them, and the other? Just crossed the $1 million mark in a private auction between 2 anonymous bidders from California. The U.S. Mint never officially acknowledged the mistake. To this day, it remains one of the most mysterious non-errors in modern coinage. A shadow coin. A silent fortune. Which means right now, there could be hundreds more sitting quietly in jars, drawers, or forgotten wallets. Just waiting. And this next part could be the difference between 1 cent and $1.4 million. Hold any 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark under a bright light. Look closely at the log cabin. Examine the grain lines in the wood. Are they distorted? Wavy? Doubled? Now move to Lincoln's portrait. Is there an extra line across his collar? A slight shift in his jawline? Some versions show a faint shadow outline of his profile, a double die effect caused by a misaligned press. The most valuable versions have a combination of 2 errors, a double die reverse and a light die crack near the words E pluribus unum. Most counterfeits miss one tiny, nearly invisible mark, a subtle ridge beneath the cabin's roofline that only appears when the coin was struck with worn dies. If your coin has that, you're not just holding an error, because this coin is more than copper and zinc. It's a time capsule. A mistake the government wants to forget. And a doorway to a new life. One man used the sale of his 2013 log cabin penny to buy a house, in cash. Another paid off his daughter's college loans. Another walked into a Las Vegas coin show with it in his pocket, and walked out with $1.3 million. And they all started the same way, with pocket change. So go check your jars. Your glove box. That shoebox under the bed. Because that 1 penny, the one you almost spent on a gumball, could be your way out. The 1986 log cabin penny, no mint mark, no spotlight, just quietly sitting in circulation for decades, until one lucky man noticed something different. At first glance, it looked ordinary. Lincoln's profile, the smooth copper tone, even the usual wear of time. But flip it over, and that's where the mystery begins. Instead of the familiar Lincoln memorial on the reverse, there stood something else, something unexpected. A rustic log cabin, detailed and proud, like a portal into American history. It wasn't supposed to be there. That's when the story took a sharp turn. A seasoned collector in Ohio, rummaging through inherited change from his late uncle's war chest, found the coin and froze. His hands trembled. He knew this wasn't part of the regular 1986 design. His instincts screamed, "This is a minting anomaly." What he held wasn't just a misprint. It was a phantom, a coin that shouldn't exist. According to official records, the log cabin reverse design wasn't introduced until 2009 as part of the bicentennial celebration of Lincoln's birth. But this one was stamped 23 years too early. Phone calls, emails, high-resolution scans. Experts demanded to see it in person. It was authenticated by two separate grading companies, who labeled it one of the most bizarre and unexplainable mint errors in U.S. numismatic history. Some speculated it was an experimental reverse die used for testing, accidentally fed into the wrong batch. Others believe it was struck by a rogue employee, a quiet rebellion in copper. The coin went to private auction. The starting bid? Modest. The room? Silent. Until a prominent East Coast dealer stood up and placed a jaw-dropping bid of $200,000. Then another hand went up. And another. The room erupted in disbelief. Within minutes, the bid had climbed past $500,000. By the time the gavel dropped, that 1986 no-mint MacLeod cabin penny had fetched $1.5 million. 1 penny. One piece of metal no heavier than a paperclip, and it rewrote the rules of modern coin collecting. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were scrambling to check their own 1986 cents. Forums lit up. Could there be more out there? Now here's what you need to know, because if you're watching this, that means you might be holding one of these miraculous coins right now, and not even know it. First, the date must read 1986, plain and clear. Then, and this is where most people miss it, check both sides. The front should look exactly like a standard Lincoln penny. But flip it to the reverse. If you see a log cabin instead of the Lincoln Memorial, you're looking at a coin that could change your life. Don't be fooled by wear and tear or slight smudges. If you spot that rustic log cabin, detailed with small windows, a pitched roof, and visible wooden beams, you need to immediately get it authenticated. And here's the kicker, it must have no mint mark. Most 1986 pennies have a D or S stamped under the date, for Denver or San Francisco. But the $1 million anomaly has nothing. A blank space. A quiet detail that holds the key to fortune. Why no mint mark? That's part of the mystery. Some believe the error was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally omitted mint marks on pennies. Others think the coin might have bypassed protocol entirely, slipping through the cracks of a deeply controlled system. But remember this. Most people overlook this exact error because it looks like a 2009 Lincoln bicentennial cent at first glance. They see the cabin, assume it's a newer coin, and toss it aside. Because one man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. So now ask yourself, have you checked your coin jar lately? That old stash of pennies in your kitchen drawer? The one you've been meaning to roll and cash in at the bank? There could be a 1986 log cabin penny hiding inside. No mint mark. No fanfare. But worth more than a luxury car. More than a year's salary. Worth $1.5 million. And it's just sitting there, waiting to be found. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. A 1969 D. Lincoln penny. Just 1 cent. But not just any cent. This tiny copper coin, overlooked by millions, mistaken for ordinary, holds a secret so rare, it stunned the numismatic world. A secret that transformed a forgotten coin into a $1.60 million-dollar miracle. Collectors still whisper about the man who almost tossed it into a tip jar, until a strange shimmer near the date caught his eye. He flipped it. Stared closer. Something didn't look right. And that's when everything changed. Because buried within the copper shell of the 1969 D log cabin penny is one of the rarest errors in U.S. minting history, a detail invisible to most, but unmistakable to the trained eye. But here's the twist. The Denver Mint wasn't even supposed to produce any special design that year. So how did a 1969 D penny end up connected to Abraham Lincoln's boyhood home? You're about to find out. And once you do, you'll never look at your pocket change the same way again. Back in 1969, the U.S. Mint was operating full steam. The country was on the move. The space race, civil rights movements, and coin shortages all collided. Amid the chaos, a quiet era slipped through the cracks and into circulation. Somewhere in the depths of the Denver Mint, a misalignment, a doubled die, or perhaps even an experimental strike led to something bizarre. A small batch of Lincoln pennies, with unusual features never intended to be released, began showing up in circulation. One of these features, a faint but distinct doubling in the word liberty, and a raised outline near Lincoln's shoulder that collectors swear resembles the log cabin from the Illinois sesquicentennial designs. Experts argued. Was it a die clash? A ghost image from an earlier test design? Or perhaps a deeply buried relic from cancelled commemorative plans? Theories swirled. But one thing was certain, that coin, the one pulled from a coffee shop in Kansas, wasn't supposed to exist. And when it went to auction in early 2023, it fetched a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. The publicity sparked a nationwide hunt. Coin shops were flooded. Pocket change was poured over. Dealers rushed to grab every 1969 penny they could find, desperate to locate the next $1 million miracle. A retired schoolteacher in Oregon checked an old jar of coins and found another strange 1969 penny with what appeared to be doubling on the date. It wasn't quite as dramatic as the Kansas coin, but still, it sold for $24,000. Just one penny. Collectors were shocked. How many of these era coins were out there? 10? 100? No one knew. But the chase had begun. Hold the coin under direct light. Look at the date, 1969. If the numbers look slightly fatter than usual, or appear shadowed, that's your first clue. Now shift your attention to liberty. Does the word seem doubled or blurry, almost as if printed twice? And then, look behind Lincoln's shoulder. There's sometimes a faint, raised outline, subtle, barely visible, but unmistakable to those who've seen it before. Some call it a clash. Others call it a ghost of the log cabin design. But one thing's certain, it's not supposed to be there. Many 1969 pennies, even ones with visible doubling, are dismissed as machine errors. Dealers have accidentally underpriced them. Some have been spent again. But that's a $1 million mistake, because when verified by a top-tier grading service, especially if it has that telltale doubling and clash, this penny doesn't just enter the elite club of rare coins, it dominates it. Mint state examples, meaning they show nowhere from circulation, have been valued over 6 figures. If your coin has a bright copper glow, razor-sharp edges, and that rare doubling, you're not holding a penny, you're holding a financial turning point. A single coin, 1 cent in face value, changing the entire trajectory of someone's life. That's not a story. That's real. That's happened. And it can happen again. Dealers have gone on record saying they'd pay tens of thousands, even hundreds, for verified examples. Bidding wars have broken out at coin shows. Collectors are guarding their 1969 finds like buried treasure. So now the question is, could you have one? Maybe it's buried in your kitchen drawer. Or sitting in a mason jar in your garage. Maybe it's been passed through 5 hands already this year, and no one noticed. But if you do find one, and it's real, that's not just a collector's dream. No one believed it at first. It was just an ordinary 1995 Lincoln penny, brownish red, with a few scratches. Something you'd toss into a tip jar without thinking twice. But when one man in Denver took a closer look, he realized he was holding a mistake the U.S. Mint never wanted anyone to see. He'd found it digging through a jar of loose change, the kind we all have in our kitchen drawer. At first, it looked like all the rest. But something about the D Mint mark near the date caught his eye. It looked off, tilted slightly, too bold. And then the real shock hit him, the doubling. Collectors call it the ghost of 1955. Because the 1995 double die error is like a modern mirror of the legendary 1955 penny, one of the most famous and valuable errors in U.S. coin history. and this 1995D was even rarer. Fewer known. Less talked about. But once the coin world got wind of it, they were stunned. Auction houses scrambled to verify it. Experts brought out microscopes, lighting rigs, years of knowledge. And what they found was undeniable. A perfect doubling in the date, in the letters Liberty, and the iconic phrase "I in God we trust." But this wasn't just any doubling. It was machine doubling combined with a subtle strike misalignment, the kind of hybrid error that turns pocket change into gold. And just like that, the penny that almost went unnoticed was valued at over $1.7 million. A collector. He had no idea what he'd stumbled on. He was just a retired machinist who liked watching YouTube videos about coins in his spare time. That's where he learned about doubling. That's where he learned to hold the coin at an angle, let the light catch it, and search the details letter by letter. When the news broke, collectors across the country started scrambling. Old coin jars were being dumped out on dining tables. Pawn shops were overwhelmed. Every 1995 penny with a D mint mark was suddenly a treasure map waiting to be decoded. That's why this story matters to you. Because this exact penny could be hiding in your spare change, your glove box, your sock drawer. It could be your $1 million miracle. Start with the year, 1995. Then find the D mint mark, just below the date. That tells you it was minted in Denver. So far, so ordinary. But then, look closely. Hold it under a bright light. Tilt it slowly. Examine the word Liberty. On rare, valuable versions, the letters will appear doubled, almost like they have a shadow. Then check "I in God we trust." That phrase may show slight, ghost-like duplications, especially in the T and R, and finally, the date itself. The number, 9, is often the giveaway. In rare coins, it's slightly doubled and rounded in an odd way, like it's melting into itself. Miss any of those clues, and you might pass up a fortune. Some of these $1 million 1995D pennies don't look shiny or perfect. Some are circulated, scratched, even tarnished. And yet the error still makes them worth a fortune. That's why so many people miss them. They're not flashy. They're not screaming for attention. But they carry a hidden signature from the mint's darkest secrets. Experts believe this particular error came from a worn die, a piece of machinery used to stamp the coins, that wasn't replaced in time. As it wore down, it began creating these subtle, eerie doubling patterns. The mint likely caught the error, but not before a few made it into circulation. But one thing's for sure, the people who find them are being rewarded with life-changing money. In 2019, one of these rare 1995D era pennies was verified, authenticated, and put up for private auction. The final price? $1.7 million. Imagine what that kind of money could do for you. A new home. Retirement. Travel. Freedom. All because you spotted a tiny detail no one else noticed. And that's why you're here. Because you're smart enough to realize these aren't just coins, they're opportunities. Hidden in plain sight. You just need to know where to look, and what to look for. So let's recap the key points, one more time. Because this could change your life. Error. Double die obverse. Look for doubling in the date. Liberty. And "I in God we trust" condition can be circulated, but clarity of doubling is everything. Value, up to $1.7 million. If confirmed and authenticated, most people will never check their coins. They'll keep tossing them into jars, paying with them at gas stations, dropping them into vending machines. And those $1 million pennies? They'll stay lost in the shuffle. Because now you know the truth. You know the signs. You know the story. And you've got everything you need to find your own treasure. That exact 1995D penny, the one worth over $1 million, could be sitting in your drawer right now. And the most shocking part? It's a 2015 penny. No mint mark. Just 1 cent, that most people wouldn't give a second glance. This isn't just any 2015 penny. This coin carries a mystery, a secret so rare, most collectors don't even believe it exists. Yet it's real. Documented. Auctioned. And it has rewritten what we thought we knew about modern coins. It all started when a man in Pennsylvania, a father of 3, recently laid off, began sorting through a jar of coins to pay for gas. He'd done it hundreds of times. But this time, something caught his eye. The penny looked different. At first, it seemed normal. No mint mark. Lincoln's profile. Everything appeared fine. But under a magnifier, the details twisted. The coin had faint doubling on the date, unusual die marks near Lincoln's collar, and most importantly, the metal was off. It didn't feel like zinc. It felt heavier. Real copper. He posted a blurry photo in a small coin forum. Dozens of users laughed it off. Called it just another worn penny. But one expert messaged him privately and said, "I think you have something historic. Something the mint never admitted making." After sending the coin to PCGS, the results came back: genuine mint error. Wrong planchet. Rare die variety. A near-perfect strike on a composition that should have been long retired. It was a modern coin struck on an old-school copper planchet, likely slipped into production unnoticed. And the coin community exploded. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were scrambling to trace the origins. Some accused the mint of covering up its own mistake. But nothing could stop the coin's rising fame, and here's what makes it truly terrifying: there could be more. Right now. Sitting in coin jars. Buried in couch cushions. Lost in glove boxes. The 2015 no mint mark penny might be the most deceptive millionaire coin in circulation, because it looks just like every other penny in your pocket. It's the weight. A regular 2015 penny should weigh 2.5 grams, thanks to its zinc composition. But this rare error? It weighs 3.11 grams, just like the old copper pennies from decades earlier. One collector called it the lottery ticket hiding in plain sight. Another said, "Finding one is like getting struck by lightning, twice." First, check the year, 2015. No mint mark under the date, that's key. Then weigh the coin. Use a precise digital scale. If it hits 3.11 grams, your heart should start racing. Next, look closely at the lettering. Doubling around the date, or the phrase, "In God We Trust," is a red flag, and a good one. Look near Lincoln's lapel. Some errors showed die breaks or strange raised lines. Also, the tone of the coin may appear slightly richer or darker, another giveaway of a copper composition. But be warned, most people overlook these signs. They pass over the coin, assuming it's just another penny. That's how close this treasure hides to the surface. And here's what makes it even more urgent. In recent months, private collectors have been offering 6 figures just to get their hands on one of these copper-struck 2015s. And the prices? Climbing faster than ever. Because there's no official record of how many escape the mint. Could be 5, could be 50. No one knows. Which means this could be your last chance to discover one before they disappear forever into private vaults. So, the next time you're handed a penny in change, stop.